As deer hunters, we all make mistakes. I'm going to share with you the top 3 mistakes I believe people are making that most people aren't talking about. Don't go anywhere. As a video content creator, I have the privilege of speaking with many different people that are looking to improve their deer hunting skills. So I create a short list based on my conversations with those people. Here's mistake number 1. It's not being aggressive enough. What that means is that you're not getting close enough to the deer in the first place. Look at this example I have for you. It's pretty basic, but it gets straight to the point. In the blue, you can see a bedding area. That's where the deer most likely are, and that's where you're probably going to try to pursue the deer. Many people try to pursue them in the food source. I would say pursue deer in bedding area because you know that they have to leave the bedding area in order to get to the food source. The yellow area represents the food source, the place where they're going to once they're done bedding. And now in the red X's, that's where you should be hunting, and the pink X's, that's where most people hunt. They usually sit right outside the food source waiting for a deer to come. That could be an apple tree. Some people can legally hunt with piles of bait, corn, for example. Could be a food plot, could be a field, an egg field. It could be a lot of different things. Either way, a lot of people sit right in or near a food source, but that's not being aggressive enough. The chances of you shooting a deer near a food source are less than sitting outside a bedding area and being aggressive because they're coming from their bedding area, and by the time they get to their food source, it's often too late, especially with bucks. They're going to get up from their bedding area, they're going to move 100 yards during the daylight, then beyond that it's going to be dark by the time they get there. So be aggressive, sit as close as you can to their bedding area without spooking them. Now if you are aggressively setting up on a food source, you need to be really close, like 10 to 15 yards away from where they're feeding. See, the problem is a lot of us started off rifle hunting, and that kind of messes us up when it comes to bow hunting because we think with the same mentality. We think that you want to be able to see everything and sit back and observe, but with bow hunting, you need to be within 30 yards or less of where you expect that deer to be. Now for mistake number 2, this is the one that frustrates me the most because I did this so much and I didn't learn from it. It took me so long to learn from this. Don't sit in woodlots. What I mean by that is a deciduous forest where everything's open, there's huge mature trees, kind of like around me right now. The deer don't like that. You need to be in thick cover, thick swamp, marshy cover, near a river, creek, something that has water. You can't be looking back and observing for hundreds of yards. Deer don't feel comfortable there, especially when the foliage falls off the leaves. I've noticed that I like to sit in those areas because there's big round trees to get up. You can see a long ways, you feel safe. It's just a really nice, fun hunt, just sitting there and observing nature that way. You're not going to have a lot of success doing that. One of the reasons why hunters hunt in those areas is because they see sign once or twice throughout the season and they think that deer are there during the daylight, but they're not. That sign is being left at night. There is no way a mature buck is going to leave a rub in the middle of the daytime in a mature forest, especially when the foliage falls. It's just not going to happen. I have a video, this one right here. It talks about the #1 strategy for seeing more deer. So if you're struggling just seeing deer, or you want to really up your game on going from maybe just seeing a couple deer a year to seeing 30, 40, 50 deer a year, watch that video. I promise it's going to make a big difference in your hunting. I cannot remember the last time I sat in an open forest. I can't remember. I don't think it's happened for years because I always sit in thick cover, diverse habitat, near water or some kind of transition. It's the only way I hunt because when I didn't do that, I didn't see anything, or at least I just saw maybe a doe and a fawn and that was it. But then when I started doing that, success came my way and I started seeing more deer and more of a higher quality type of deer as well. All right, mistake number 3. This is something I never hear anybody talk about. You need to hunt where you think the deer will actually be and not where you want the deer to be. And this was so huge for me because I'd walk into this place, I'd be like, wow, this is great. You got great habitat over here. There's a food source right there. Look at these trees I can climb. I can see. I'm comfortable here. I'm not too far away from the access point. I can get out of here after dark really quick. This is going to be great. And you know what happens? I don't see squat because there isn't any sign there. I wanted the deer to be there because it looked right to me, but for whatever reason, the deer were elsewhere. And that was a hard thing to learn because I was too stubborn to learn that. I would sit there, I'd be like, why am I not seeing deer? I'd go back to another spot like that the next day. I'm not seeing anything. And then it dawned on me, if there's no fresh sign, don't sit there. And just because you saw a deer 2 years ago there, or the biggest buck of your life 3 years ago there, it doesn't mean it's going to be there. For example, there's a spot where I go, I saw sign from the biggest deer I've ever seen in my life. The track was absolutely massive. I don't think I've ever seen a bigger track in my life. That deer was there and gone. After season, there was no sign of him being there. I don't know if he got hit by a car. I don't know if somebody shot him, died of old age, a disease, who knows. But I do know that that was 4 years ago, and since then there hasn't been one track, one rub, and one set of droppings from a deer in that entire area. But people want to go back there and hunt that because they saw massive rubs at one time. So you have to hunt where you know the deer are currently, not where you think they should be, either based on the environment because you're comfortable, stubbornness, or because you saw a deer there many years ago. Those are hang-ups that'll hurt you. You can get out of those woodlots and get in a thick swamp, heavy cover where the deer actually live and feed most of the time, and you can start hunting that fresh sign, not because you think the deer are there, because you know the deer are there. Check out this video right here. Like I said, it's the #1 deer strategy to seeing more deer in the woods. After I did this, I saw way more deer. It helped me tremendously. I think it's going to help you too if you struggle finding deer or you just want to improve your game a little bit. Do this strategy after you watch that video. It's going to make your life so much easier and you'll be glad you did. You're watching The Relentless Sportsman. My name is Corey. See you later.